You're listening to Psych to Parent, where we turn brain science into tiny wins at home. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, mom of two, and endurance athlete. I love a good data set and a diagnostic manual. But I also forget permission slips, overthink IEP emails, and occasionally replay the moment I snapped at my kids in the car. In other words, I'm in the messy middle with you, not above it. This show is for parents of big feeling, big thinking kids who are tired of vague advice and Pinterest perfect behavior charts. Each episode, I'll pull back the curtain on what I see in real evaluations, school meetings, my private practice, and my own kitchen, and translate the research into simple scripts, tiny routines, and nervous system friendly tweaks you can actually use. Think of it as a nervous system rehab meets mindset coaching meets a smart, slightly spicy, non-judgy friend in your earbuds. We'll take one real life challenge at a time and shrink it down into 1 or 2 tiny wins you can start this week. No perfection, no 47-step sticker systems, just small, repeatable shifts that add up over time. Quick legal-ish note in plain English. This podcast is for education and support. It's not therapy, it does not create a clinical relationship, and it's not a substitute for personalized medical or mental health advice. If you're worried about your child's safety or mental health, or your own, please reach out to a trusted professional. Okay, deep breath, drop your shoulders. You're not behind and you're not alone. Let's get psyched to parent. It's 3:15, you've been watching the clock all day. You pull into the car line, you see your kid walking out with their backpack, their school self fully on, polite, maybe even a little sticker on their folder that says, "Great day." 12 minutes later, you're home. You hand them a snack, it falls on the floor, and suddenly, this is the worst day ever! Ah! Chaos ensues. Shoes go flying, backpack is dumped, there's tears, maybe some yelling, maybe you yelling, maybe your kids yelling, maybe the door slamming, and you're just standing there in the kitchen with the snack all around your feet thinking, what just happened? My kid was fine 2 seconds ago. Why do I get the absolute worst of him or her when everyone else seems to get the best? Today, we're going to be talking about why after-school meltdowns happen, especially in strong-willed, big-feeling, big-hearted kids, and what you can do to make that time of day feel less like a landmine and more like a soft, predictable landing strip. In this episode, we're going to unpack why after-school meltdowns are so common in strong-willed, sensitive, big-feeling kids, what is going on in their brain and nervous system by 3 in the afternoon, and a few tiny changes you can try this week to make afternoons gentler for both you and your kid. By the end of this episode, I want you to be able to look at that 3:30 p.m. after-school explosion and think, oh, I actually understand what's happening here, and have a couple of concrete things you can do and try right away. And if you've ever thought, if the teacher could see me right now, they would not believe me, I want you to know this up front. You are absolutely not alone. And if you've ever thought, I wish my kid's teacher could see them right now, I don't think she'd believe me. You are absolutely not alone, and you're not failing as a parent. I believe you, and I believe in you. Before we dive into the science, I want you to know I'm very much in this with you. I read the research and write the reports and sit in meetings with teachers and parents and school systems. And I have also been the mom in the kitchen who snaps over a spilled glass of milk. My kids are the ones who helped me brainstorm ideas for this podcast, and they're the ones who came up with the idea for this show, which is why it's my first episode. My kids have always done really well in school, and I hear things from their teachers consistently like, they're such a great helper, they're so kind, they work so hard, they put forth their best effort, they win Student of the Month. And then when we get home, the tiniest thing can set them off. I have had those moments where I think, if their teacher could see them right now, they would not believe me. I'm also a recovering overfunctioner. I'm the person who thinks, sure, I can squeeze in one more appointment or email or one more favor for a client. And then I find myself stressed out with little left to give to my own family and kids. When we talk about changing the after-school window, we are talking about your child's nervous system and yours. We're doing this together. I'm not coming to you from a mountaintop where I have everything figured out. I'm talking about this messy middle as a professional and as a parent who is still practicing these things in real time. I love the research and the science, but I want to explain it in normal people language so I don't lose you or make you fall asleep. Now, when it comes to these strong-willed, big emotion kids and the after-school meltdowns, there's 2 big systems at play. The first one is executive function and self-regulation, and the second one is the stress system or the nervous system load. Executive function and self-regulation are really important. Researchers call executive function and self-regulation the mental skills that help us plan, focus, remember instructions, and juggle tasks. One of my favorite descriptions comes from the Harvard Center on the Developing Child. They describe these skills as an air traffic controller system in the brain. It manages all the incoming and outgoing flights of thoughts, feelings, and impulses in our children. At school, your child's air traffic control system is working hard all day, doing things like remembering multi-step directions, waiting their turn, not blurting out, ignoring noise and distractions, managing little friendship bumps without collapsing. There's also really solid research from people like Clancy Blair and C. Sybil Raver showing that self-regulation is a foundation of school readiness and learning. It's what helps kids sit, persist, and recover from mistakes in a busy classroom setting. Now here's the catch. These systems don't have infinite juice. They drain. Think of your child's brain like a phone that has been on high brightness, running 10 apps all at once, all day long. While you might have sent them to school at 100% charge, by the time they get back to you at the end of the school day, they maybe have 5 or 10% battery left. So when you ask things of your kids like, hang up your backpack, do your homework, speak kindly to your sibling, their brain is basically saying, I would love to, but the CEO has left the building. This is executive function fatigue. It's not that they will not cope, it's that they literally can't do it as well at that point in the day. On top of the thinking load, there's also the nervous system load. All day, their stress system is taking hits from the bell, the cafeteria, the hallway noise, small social injustices like being left out, someone rolling their eyes at them, or not being called on by the teacher. There's performance pressure like tests, quizzes, reading out loud in front of the class, behavior charts. There's sensory stuff like bright lights, scratchy clothes, or strong smells. Researchers like Ann Maston talk about how kids' stress systems are constantly adapting to these everyday demands, having enough support and skills to recover. Now, I like to picture this as a stress bucket. Every little stressor is a drop in the bucket. Most kids don't melt down at school, but their bucket is quietly filling. By the end of the day, a lot of kids have two things: a full stress bucket and a tired control system. The tiniest drop at home, like the wrong color cup or snack, or a sibling grabbing a toy, makes the bucket spill over, and that spill is the meltdown. Some clinicians call this after-school restraint collapse. It is what happens when a child has held it together all day and finally gets to their safe person, which is you, and their body says, okay, I can stop performing now. And it can look really rough. When you put executive function fatigue and nervous system overload together, the meltdowns start to make sense in a different kind of way. In my house, when my kids were younger, one of them in particular would walk in the door looking totally fine. Teachers had told me things like, great day, so respectful, such a helper. We would get home and the smallest thing would set them off. The sibling would look at them the wrong way. I'd do their seatbelt the wrong way. We'd open the wrong door to get in the car. It could be something really small that I wouldn't even think is that big of a deal. But it was in their eyes. Suddenly we'd have the full body meltdown with the crying, the tears, the tantruming, yelling, hearing things like, I'm the worst, I hate school. And I would find myself being, oh my gosh, why are we doing this every day? But then I started to shift my perspective on my child. I started to picture my child like a Coke bottle that had been shaken all day at school. Noise, rules, transitions, social stuff. Be good, be quiet, be flexible, listen. By the time we got home, I was not the cause of the explosion for my child. I was just the one who popped the tab and got soaked. Now, in other families I work with, it might look like things like this. These are things I've seen in my practice. A child who walks in and immediately collapses into tears when you ask them to hang up their backpack. Or a kid who can hold it together all day at school, gets A's on all their tests, and then screams about homework and says things like, I'm stupid and I hate school. And FYI, they're not stupid and they actually really love school. A child who becomes very clingy and baby talks after school, even though they have been quite independent in other settings. You almost always see things like a brain with very little battery life left, a stress bucket that is overflowing, and a kid who finally feels safe enough to fall apart, which is a compliment to you as a parent, but also really hard on the grown-ups. Some kids are wired to feel everything at volume 10. They often have a strong sense of justice and fairness, big reactions to things that feel unfair or inconsistent, more intense responses to sensory input like noise, tags, or crowds. These kids are often incredible. They notice everything, they care deeply, they can be wildly creative and passionate. The flip side is that they experience more intense emotional and sensory input all day long, so their stress bucket fills faster. Now you have a strong-willed, big-feeling kid with a full stress bucket, a tired executive function system, and a safe parent standing in front of them. That is the perfect recipe for the after-school blow-up. Here's the frame I want you to hold on to. After-school meltdowns are not proof that you are failing as a parent. Instead, they are often a sign that your child's self-regulation systems have worked really hard all day, and they feel safe enough with you to stop performing. Safe does not mean we allow everything. Safe means we understand what is driving the behavior and respond with warmth and boundaries. When you look at your big-feeling child through this lens, their behavior becomes less of, what is wrong with you? And more of, okay, what are you trying to tell me that you do not have words for yet? Now let's make this practical. Here are some scripts you can borrow and adapt. When they walk in a meltdown over something tiny, you might say, wow, that reaction is telling me it used up a lot of energy. Your brain must be really tired. You might say something like, your brain worked really hard today. First, we're going to do a snack and chill, then we'll figure out homework. When we want to connect without forcing a big, heavy talk, we might say something like, tell me your high, your low, and you're silly from today. I'll go first. When the behavior crosses a line, it's okay to feel mad. It's not okay to hit. I'm going to move your sister back and you can stomp on the floor or squeeze this pillow instead. When you need to name the pattern for yourself so you can stay grounded, you might say something like, this is after school collapse. This is a tired brain and full stress bucket, not proof that I'm a bad parent. You don't have to memorize all of these. Even having one or two of these phrases ready can make those intense moments feel a little less wild. Let's pull all this together into tiny wins you can actually try this week. Think of these like training reps, not proof that you have it all together. Tiny win number 1, name the pattern. Try saying, this is after school collapse. This is a tired brain and a full stress bucket. That tiny reframe changes how your own nervous system comes into the situation. Tiny win number 2, protect the first 20 to 30. Choose one simple way to lower demands after school. Maybe it's push homework back 20 or 30 minutes. Maybe it's committing to a snack and some chill time before any new instructions or big conversations. Maybe it's dropping one errand on your hardest days and just going home. Let that be enough. This is you respecting a tired, overworked brain and nervous system. Tiny win number 3, decode the feelings before you react. At least once this week, when your child has a very big reaction to a very small thing, see if you can pause for one breath and ask yourself, if I ran this through a big feelings decoder, what might this behavior be trying to say? It might be something like this. You are the worst parent ever might actually mean today felt unfair and I feel powerless and you are the safest person I can unload on. Or maybe your child slams the door and that might mean my nervous system is on fire and I don't know how to turn it down. Or maybe they say, I hate homework, and it means my brain is too tired to do one more hard. You're not excusing the behavior. You are gathering better data before you decide what to do. As you try these tiny experiments, notice, do meltdowns ever get a little bit shorter? Does your child come back down a little faster? Do you feel even 5% less dread about pickup? In endurance events, we don't wait to celebrate until we're at the finish line. We celebrate the training blocks, the early alarms, the tiny decisions. Parenting is the same. These small behind-the-scenes adjustments are building resilience, connection, and a more honest picture of what your nervous system needs. I want to leave you with one question you can carry into this. What is one tiny change I can make to our after-school routine that is kinder to both my child's nervous system and my own nervous system? Not 5 changes, just one. Write it down if it helps. Tell a friend. Let it be small and doable. If you want help decoding what your child's behavior might be trying to tell you, I made something just for you. It's called the Big Feelings Decoder. It's a simple cheat sheet that takes some of the most confusing, rude, or dramatic behaviors and offers a few possible translations for what might be going on underneath. Plus scripts. You can grab it by clicking the link in the show notes. Thank you for hanging out with me on Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, your not so typical school psychologist, and I'm genuinely glad you're here doing this work instead of quietly white knuckling it and blaming yourself. Your tiny win from today's episode is simple. Do not overhaul your entire parenting style. Pick one idea, one sentence, or one tiny shift and try it in a low stakes moment this week. Then notice what changes, even if it is just by 1%. If you want more support, head over to psych2parent.com. You'll find show notes, simple scripts, and parent-friendly guides that go with these episodes. While you're there, make sure you join the Tiny Wins mailing list so you get weekly brain-based tips, real-life examples from my work with families, and first dibs on new workshops and resources. It's the easiest way for us to stay connected beyond the podcast. If this podcast was helpful, it really does matter when you tap follow or subscribe. Leave a quick review or text it to a friend who is parenting a big feeling, big-hearted kid too. This podcast is for education and encouragement. It is not therapy, and it's not a substitute for individualized care. If you're worried about your child or yourself, please reach out to a trusted professional in your area. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are building something new, one tiny win at a time. I'll see you in the next episode, probably with a cold coffee in hand, cheering you on.